Thank you so much, Aditya, for the warm welcome. Yeah, so I would say that I build human networks as my introduction in one line. So yeah, it's not as clumsy or as difficult as computer networks, but I'll try to explain you in a very simple format where we have humans and we connect with them and keep them connected and probably leverage them in terms of you know uh, community in terms of whenever you're conducting a talk improving the community. So it's like connecting the dots and interacting with humans, not just making them your friends, but making them your family members. And yeah, so it helps in longer run when you are building communities. Yeah, so I guess it was back in 2017 when I was completing my diploma, and I started going in events. Like, sure, go ahead. Not a problem. Just check it out.
Yeah, I guess sometimes this issue just comes up and then you're stuck working on this. Um, I think it's better now. So yeah, we can continue. All right.
Okay, that's good. So
One
I
second.
was like,
Anusha, just jump in here because I think
Hey,
yeah. Hi Simran.
um,
Is
yeah,
it audible now? Okay, I think we are good now. We're good to go. Yes, finally. Um,
okay, that looks good.
yeah. So back to our question. When did you start building your networks?
Yeah, so back in 2017, when I was in my diploma second year, I started going in events, attending different talks, and that's when I realized that I should start building my own network. I should start connecting with people, and I should kind of get into like develop my professional skills and get connected to a lot of people. So that time, the idea was in the mind that. Let's build a network because I heard this quote which is called as network is your net worth. So that very well settled in my mind that if you have a bigger network, you will probably be more you will be able to create more impact in the community. So that's when the journey started, and yeah, since then I've been building communities.
Ah, that's definitely a great start. And I mean, I think we all can agree here that communities are definitely one of the best ways to actually grow our networks. What was your first community experience?
Yeah, so I was the part of GDG Mumbai back then, and as a volunteer. So I was a normal attendee, but attendee turned volunteer. So I used to go to events and attend it, and they were very professional. So students were not much allowed that time. Nowadays, you can see there are a lot of communities which allow student very easily, but that time it was not so easy to get into even attending the events. But I was fortunate enough, you can say I attended many events, and then one day I approached the organizers with a problem solving solution, and they accepted me as a volunteer. So that is like my first experience about communities, and how I got introduced to. There's a bunch of people who conduct events and call others, kind of. So yeah.
Ah, that's definitely interesting. And I mean, GDG is definitely there, but one name that we've always seen associated with you is Google Crowdsource. I mean, if you check your profile, it says Crowdsource Global Influencer. So, how did that happen, GDG to the crowdsource community?
Yeah, so I was part of GDG and I was exploring options, and I came across an app on Play Store called as Google Crowdsource. I started contributing on that because it was fun, fun games, small games. Back then it was only till level 10, and I completed that within a month. And after that, I connected with the program managers to provide them feedbacks, and they contacted me back, and we had a very good call, and they wanted me to start a community in Mumbai. So we conducted a small event in Mumbai with around 120 people, and
That's not
that's
small.
how the journey started.
That's definitely not
Yeah.
small for a first event.
Oh, so that's like that is a small number kind of. I feel that because nowadays the events are more like 100 people, 200 people, 500 people. So that was a small number to me. So yeah, that's how we got started in Mumbai, and then suddenly I had good feedbacks. I was able to influence people, and I started delivering sessions across different cities and then different states and then online different countries.
Oh
So
wow.
that's how within 3 to 4 months I was an influencer, a global influencer, and delivering sessions across different countries. So yeah.
Wow. That's absolutely great. I mean, to be able to achieve that in 3 to 4 months. Doesn't success actually take a toll at that kind of a fast pace? Because you're starting from scratch and then suddenly 3 months is a short period of time. So, did that take some kind of a toll on you, to be
Oh
honest?
yes. Most of the time when you are so it was something new. I was very excited about it. So I was blindly following it and leaving everything which I was already building. So that took a toll on a lot of things. One being my health. Second, being my studies. So I was very much excited about the community so much that I used to neglect my studies and not score good marks, not even average. So that was the case initially, but then I started managing my time and so coped up with it. So yeah,
Uh,
that is something which I would say was neglected most of the times.
Well, sounds great. So crowdsource, reaching that level, and I think right now you've moved on to other ventures, I believe. So the next thing that you folks came up with was TensorFlow. How did the transition from crowdsource to TensorFlow happen? Because crowdsource, you were practically at the top of the world, and then suddenly having moving out of the program. How'd that
Yeah,
happen?
so it was like we were actually doing good in crowdsource. We also we were part of a research which was published by Google AI team of Inclusive Images 2.0, where we help them to collect images, detailed images about objects. So not just not just Adidas shoes, but blue color Adidas shoes, or some details about shoes which might be prominent in object detection applications. So like it was everything was good, but suddenly life happens, and your it is like the program manager changed, the system changed, and a lot of new changes came in which we were not able to cope up with. And we always had an open mind working with the community, I and Nawaz felt that this is a time where we, move on and take our knowledge and maybe expand it into different communities, which can which might be beneficial for students more technically, and that's how we decided that okay, now we are at a verge of let's say achieving everything. So why not shift to a community and shift to another community and get started. So TensorFlow was already a part when I was part of Google Crowdsource, but not in full fledged because obviously I was working with Crowdsource for like it was like around 6 to 8 hours a day. We were working on different tasks and everything. Every day we were answering thousands of queries and so on. I still receive queries from people about Crowdsource. So because the base was huge, and I also had delivered a lot of talks, like more than 150 talks across 32 cities in India. So
Oh
with
wow.
that scaling, it was taking a lot of toll, and so um, we left Google Crowdsource and invested full time in TensorFlow user group. And TensorFlow people. did learn machine learning back then, and people did use machine learning, but there was no physical community per se in India, and specifically for TensorFlow, there was no community which was prompting people to learn it and do an offline collaboration. There was only one event which used to happen every year, that too in Bangalore. So people used to travel to Bangalore to conduct that event, to attend that event. So that was a bit of a requirement there, and so we converted TensorFlow user group to full-fledged scale. In India, we conducted around 10 to 15 sessions in different cities, and yeah, that's how TensorFlow user group started. And then we renamed it to TensorFlow user group Mumbai, and now we currently manage Mumbai with more than 2,500 people.
Wow, that is fantastic. I mean, managing that kind of a community, and I've seen, I mean, I'm a part of the group. I've seen the kind of activity that happens is amazing. How do you keep up that kind of a spirit all through this? I mean, because, I mean, I've seen the activity, and maintaining consistent activity as a community manager is definitely a very tedious task. So,
Yeah.
what's your mentality to that?
Yeah, so I feel people. So whenever you are working with people, you are in people business. So in that case, what you need to just do is understand or analyze what people really want, what value they are looking for. Okay, so when I was working with the crowdsource community, I was in a sense that people want to be valued, people want to contribute in open source projects, but they don't know how to go about it, they don't know how to start. So we were providing that value, and that's why it grew to a very bigger firm as of now. So similarly, when I was working with TensorFlow user group, I had an idea that we can actually bring in the practical knowledge of TensorFlow. We can provide them with resources, we can provide them with sessions, and first-hand mentors. So if you see in TensorFlow user group, we are not the ones who are very active, but the ones who are very active are mentors. Okay, and it's very it's a task to find a right mentor who can actually come up and give his time and then cater to the audience. So what you do is you connect people, and then it's working. So we don't have to monitor it 24/7. What happens is someone asks a query, mentors are going to reply it, and then it goes on. So it becomes an automated process where you don't have to invest much of your time. But at the end of the day, what we do is we definitely have a look at the group. We see what are the queries coming in. We look at the feedback and try to improve on a daily basis so that people feel valued, and people are able to get that amount of you can say benefit, or that amount of insights from the group, because that's what they have joined the group for. So if they don't receive it, then probably they might just move on, or they might just be a passive participant. So yeah.
Fair enough, fair enough. That's definitely very true. That, I mean, if it becomes very passive, they might actually just move on. That's
Yeah.
very true. And yeah, so looking at this affiliation, when did the GDG affiliation start?
So GDG was around 2017, I guess. Yes,
2017,
that
right?
time. Yeah,
So
2017.
that makes it almost 2.5, 3 years maybe of an affiliation with Google, and then of course you transitioned to the Microsoft Student Partner Program as well, which is a
Yes.
Microsoft program. So how did that happen?
Yeah. So that's the crazy funny part. So I was obviously, when you are in people business, you don't really go into looking at the company. What you actually look at is where you can provide more value to your to the people you influence. And my vision was to make every student realize their potential when they are doing engineering or when they are studying, because by doing so they will not waste their professional years, and each professional year cost you minimum of 8 lakhs to 12 lakhs per annum. So you're not going to waste that much amount of money, right, when you are doing something professionally. So why not experiment during engineering and then move on? So when I was about to transition when I was transitioning out of Google Crowdsource, I visited a lot of events, and one of the events was MS Build, MS Ignite Tour, I guess, in Mumbai. And that was a really good event with Microsoft employees and program managers there, and sharing about different technologies which Microsoft worked on. So I was always having that kind of inner mind that Google is the biggest company and Google does everything. So never had a time to introspect what other companies are also doing. And I saw Microsoft doing great things as well. So I was like, so I literally went to that program manager and was like, hello, I'm Ali and I do this. And I explained everything, showed him some pictures, and he was impressed. He was like, Ali, why don't you join the Microsoft community? So I was like, I don't think so. You guys have a community. So because I didn't research,
Okay.
obviously, I was not aware of any Microsoft community per se. Specifically Microsoft community even in Mumbai. So then he introduced me to the student partner program. That this is the program which is specifically designed for student. And then he also introduced to me about MVP program. So I was like, let's stick to the student program for now. Maybe in the near future, I might see to it if it fits my portfolio. So that time I filled the form, and interestingly, after 1 year, so till 1 year nothing happened, and after 1 year, suddenly it was like one day I received an email from Microsoft saying that, hey Ali, you are selected for MSP program. And I was not at all expecting it because I filled the form, I forget about it, I didn't even remember what I filled in. So I filled in that in the MS Build itself, MS Ignite tour itself. And after that, it was like after 1 year, I got the confirmation. So I had to again choose if I want to continue with the program because I was starting from scratch again. I had already managed full scales community internationally and nationally, so I was going to start again from zero. So and again in a new company of a program. So I was a bit hesitant at first that should I go or should I participate in this program. But then I told to myself that what is your vision, what is your mission, what are you achieving at the end of the day. And it totally aligned with what Microsoft was doing. So I was like, let's join the program, and let's be a normal MSP. Let's be a normal student partner who can just conduct events, learn about Microsoft technology, and probably bring some value to students across this campus.
Ah, that's nice. Just stepping back for a while. And
Yeah,
I mean, essentially taking it a little easy. And I guess that is also really important at the end of the day at times. I think sometimes, when we get over engrossed in a thing, we really put everything into more than 100% into some activities. They do tend to burn us out as well. So sometimes stepping back is actually healthier for you rather than giving it all in, maybe.
yeah,
So,
true, true.
yeah. So, I mean, how would you look at how would you talk? Do you think stepping back was a good decision here? Just taking it a little easier.
Yeah, so if I introspect the conditions at which I was I became the Microsoft student partner. Back then, I just left Google Crowdsource. I was full time invested into TensorFlow user groups. I was, planning out some things. It was my final year, so everything was, you know, clustered, and I really didn't thought that I had one place left on my plate where I could take this program on and contribute. But then, as I told you, like it was like I want to do it. I want to just have an experience
Hmm.
that. So I always had an experience of managing people. I never had an experience of how do you get managed by different people and when different people
Yeah.
organize events. So what you feel as an attendee, what you take away as an attendee. So I wanted to have that experience, and I truly feel that MSP has given me a lot of experience in terms of realizing how open source technologies work, realizing how you can leverage different tools which Microsoft has developed as well into students' life, and student and benefited from like from a very good perspective. So I would definitely say that it was really a good decision, and starting from scratch teaches you a lot of things, and that I have learned over time, that many things. So starting from conducting your first event and reporting it to become an alpha, to becoming an beta, and then receiving that beta swag and becoming happy that, oh man, I got a swag. And then so because I had so many of swags of Microsoft as well, because I used to visit Microsoft Office for conducting events and participating in events most of the times
Mm-hmm.
before even I was an MSP. So Microsoft goodies were not new to me, but that feeling of completing a milestone and then putting them together, and then and then you receive a certificate that you are a beta. So that's something, a different feeling. So yeah. And also about the regional summit which I was selected for. So that is going to be a good experience probably now, because it has shifted to an online summit thanks to COVID-19. Else it would have been a really good and awesome experience in Singapore.
Yeah. All right. So, I think for some of our newer MSPs, they may not actually know about the regional summit. So, could you talk a bit more about what actually it is and how,
Sure. So regional summit is an event which brings all the MSP in the region together. So usually what happens is, so India region is pretty big. So what they did was they conducted an India summit first. Okay. And then there are regional summits as per the region. So in APAC region there will be a one summit. In IMA region there will be one summit. So similarly we had one summit here in APAC region, Asia Pacific region, and around 25 to 30 people get shortlisted and get fully funded trip to attend that summit by Microsoft. And there are also some tickets which they share. So they allow you to attend the summit on your own expenses as well for some of the attendees. Uh, you just need to contribute in the program throughout the year and be an active beta MSP. And then you need to fill up an application which will ask you how you are going to impact the local MSPs when you are going to attend the regional summit. So you have to draft a good application and then send it across, and then wait and pray. Probably you will get selected. And what is a good thing about the summit is that you also get to see Imagine Cup finals. So it
yeah.
is Imagine Cup finals plus Microsoft Student Partner Summit, where you get loads of content in terms of leadership, in terms of your own self development, in terms of so many different like open source and so many different tools and techniques that you can actually come back home and have a ton of knowledge to share with your community. So that's about the regional summit.
Mm-hmm. You really brought up a really great term here, and that is leadership. Because I think we've seen you as a leader in quite a few communities, and now as someone maybe who's stepping back and following a little more in the student partner um, program. So, how would you define how would you say how important is it to be a follower apart from just a leader? Because to be honest, I think all of us want to be leaders in our own communities, but moving from being a leader to being someone who's stepping back and actually looking at someone else lead and learning from their perspective and experiences, how important would you rate learning how to follow as well?
Yeah, so as far as even any given follower is concerned, right? So as a follower, what I expect is a leader who teaches us well, who is leading the path, who's showcasing different benefits. He is able to influence us in a very positive way, where on a daily basis I learn something, and I'm not just seeing his post about his achievements, but I'm seeing post about how I can become that which this guy's already. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what as a follower, that feeling is all about. That if this guy can do it, he can reach that level. He can conduct so many events. He can be a speaker at so many different places. So why can't I as a follower? And what values can I gain from this leadership, and how can I become one of the leaders in time? Or sometimes it's also about just self development and not becoming a leader. So many of the times it might be like your followers just want to be self reliant. In India we have a new term for it well as atmanirbhar. So it is more like becoming, so you are expecting yourself to be in a position that tomorrow, if you have to take a decision, if you have to take a decision between job and startup, if you have to take a decision between two things, you know what to do in terms of technology. you know what to do in terms of, you know, how it will affect your life in general. So that is what I feel as a follower, leadership is all about. Okay, so yeah.
That's definitely a very, very interesting perspective on leadership. Um, okay, so now moving on from the summit, we've also seen you as a speaker, and I think the first thing that comes to us as one of the biggest stage for any possible speaker, especially when it comes to topics such as leadership or the domains that we are working in, is the TEDx program. And I do know that you're a TEDx speaker. So how did that come up about to place?
Yeah, so it's a very interesting story. So, being a speaker is not an easy task, okay? And being a good speaker is 2x double task. Why? Because if you're a good speaker, you either start the conference, so you have to set a tone of the conference. You need to make sure that the tone of the conference is set to at its peak, so that people are expecting good things and they are going to sit back and enjoy till the end of the day. If you mess up in the starting session, people might just turn away from the first session itself. Okay, it's really difficult to retain people after the first session is gone really wrong. Okay, and the second thing is either you get the last slot. Okay, you are never in between. Either you are the keynote or either you are the last speaker. Okay, so if the event is not going good and you are the last speaker, being a good speaker, it's your responsibility to bring that cheer up in the audience and make sure that they go home with a high note. They go home with a positive attitude and with a positive mindset that okay, we learned something from the complete session. So in one of such conferences hosted by NMIMS, Mukesh Patel College, I was a last speaker. Okay, so it was 1 hour session and I was the last speaker there. And being a last speaker, there is always one disadvantage, that you don't get enough time. So
Very
even
true.
so, being the first speaker, it can be possible that you just eat up others' time because you're the first speaker. So no one is going to drag you out of the stage, and you can continue delivering and telling your fun stories. But being a last speaker, it's really out of your hand because the seminar is going to end at a specific time, and you need to wind up everything before that time. And I only had 15 minutes left after everyone discussed their topic. So my content was 1.5 hours. So again, I was in a position to select that should I continue with my original session, or should I maybe what should I do? And in the back of my brain, I always love experiments, and I thought let's do an experiment, and let's do an impromptu. So let's share the journey of me as myself, and let's talk about a bit of a machine learning in a very interesting way. So if you visit my YouTube channel, I have one video uploaded where I talk about machine learning in a very fun way. So it's just playing with emojis, and you will. So I covered that example. So I started the talk with saying this line that you are 20, I am 20, and you are on that side of the stage, and I am this side of the stage. So what makes me better, or what is the thing which you can follow and you can become what I am doing today? And there was a pin drop silence in the audience, because the audience was already cheering up. They were already moving out of the halls,
Yeah.
but suddenly it was a pin drop silence and they wanted to hear me out. And I continued for a good 30 minutes, and after 30 minutes everyone was in opinion, was influenced, was willing to give more time. But we ended the session, and luckily there were TEDx curators sitting in the audience, and there was very good audience. So there were parents sitting in the audience. There were a lot of C-level employees sitting in the. So there were people from startups, companies sitting in the audience. So it was like I hit the jackpot directly. So even I
That's,
received
yeah.
a lot of business opportunities. I received a lot of praises from parents, and I received my TEDx opportunity. So they told me that they can actually help me to nominate into TEDx, and I gave them my application, and then it was a 2 month long process. And yeah, I was then part of the speaker segment, and it was so much. You can say I was so happy, because I was sharing the stage with all the actors. So actors and famous rappers. So I was sharing the stage with Kambari,
Oh,
Ayush,
wow.
and so many kind of big names. So it was a very good feeling, and yeah. So that was the journey about TEDx.
I think that would have been a fantastic experience. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really awesome.
To be able to convince and persuade and speak at this kind of a level with this kind of an influence, to some extent, you have to be convinced and driven enough yourself. Before you're able to
Yeah.
convince someone, you have to be able to convince yourself. And that means you have to focus on your own personality, on your own perspectives and mindsets. So,
Yes.
how would you suggest you've gone around that? Because I think you're already, the kind of a level that you are at, as we see, is something that we can only hope to do in maybe the next 10 years or so. So, yeah.
Okay, go ahead, go ahead. Yeah, so what I feel is, so people really look, people talk high about us, and they really look us at a very good position, which definitely, makes us happy at some point of time. But I always tell them to set their targets really, really high and not set them on me. Okay, so so there are so many different idols available. So I usually tell the people, to think really, really big. Then you can settle on less, right? So what I feel about motivation is that it is a constant cycle. Okay, it's really like a drug. So when you start consuming it, you want motivation every week, every day, every month, because if you don't get it, you are not going to work. You're not going to be in a position to even do anything, because motivation is not a single time pill. Okay, it is something which is constant, which you need to work on every single day, I would assume. So if you are a leader, if you are leading a community, you need to work on it every single day, because you are influencing a lot of people and they might be influencing a lot of other people. So as I see my students, they are today leading DSCs, they are today leading MSPs, they are leading different communities, they are themselves Android developers, data scientists, and whatnot. So they are leading their own teams, and if I am not motivated enough, if I am lazy enough, to just say that, man, it doesn't work, so they will be 10x demotivated. They will be like, man, if this guy is talking like this, we should definitely not even look at that part. So I would give complete credit of my motivation to my best friend, and one of my, like, he's my elder brother, Nawazuddin, Muhammad Nawazuddin. He's currently in Australia, but he is one of the person whom I can give full credit about motivating me to every edge. So when I joined crowdsource community, I was an attendee. I was a normal college organizer. From that, I became a city level organizer, to a state level organizer, to talking at Google office, to leading the region, the country, and then the global, segment. And at every step, I really felt that, am I eligible enough? Am I talented enough? Am I delivering enough? Um, um, am I doing something wrong, or should this be done in another way, which can benefit more people, which can reach more people? And Nawaz was constantly there to tell me that, okay, Ali, you are doing this. This is great. This is the feedback. This is how you should proceed. This is how you can develop your professional career. You can work on your startup. You can work on 10 different things, and you can keep yourself motivated. So I really feel that motivation, so whenever you have a lot of free time, that time you kind of introspect what you are doing, what you are achieving. And that time it's really like you have delivered a 3 hour session on leadership, and then you are back eating your dinner, and then you are thinking about motivation. You're thinking about what is driving you, what is the key ingredient, what you should be working on, which can help you in the longer run. So that's how it is. And I also thank my friends, so who always supported me regardless of what I was doing. So when I started my journey, I had Anwar, Nawaz, who are my diploma friends. Okay, and they still support me. They were supporting me when I was just an attendee. I was struggling here and there, and they are still supporting me as I lead different communities. One and few of them are also my professional colleagues like Achal, then Sharan, then Shubham, and these all people kind of also give me motivation on a daily basis, and the biggest motivation is the people whom you influence, because what they will do is they will come after the session and they will be like, "Hey Ali, how to do this?" And then you are like, "Okay, this is how you do this," and then they will ask another question. Okay, how did you do this? So I was like, okay, I did this way. And then they will come up with another question. What if I want to do it better than what you did? So now it's time. So now you think that, okay, so what should I give him an answer? So what should be my answer to him? And then you really think hard, and then you do a bit of research, and then you present him a piece of advice that, okay, you can do this to improve more than what I was doing in that field. And that gives you more motivation every day, that every day you are um, in a cycle. Everyone might be approaching you, they might be asking you different questions about different things, and you might be just giving them advices, and then you just use that advices in your own life. So that's how really simple it is. So yeah.
Oh, that's definitely great. And oh, we have a lot of people saying hi to you. We've just had quite a few people joining the live chat as well. Just hurry
Oh,
now.
that's great.
Yeah.
So hello everyone. Okay,
Yeah.
Ganesh is here. Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of love in the live
Ashwin.
chat right now.
Oh, thank you so much for joining in, everybody. Okay. Yeah.
Awesome. You know, uh, you've been working at this kind of a level as a student for so long. I really have to ask here, how has your family and peer support been throughout this?
So when I talk about family support or peer support, so whenever you are doing something which you believe is really close to your heart, and you are giving 100% to it, you are giving your sleep for it, you are skipping meals for it, you are dedicated, you are traveling different cities on your own expense, and when you look back, when you are seeing your home, you are seeing your family, you are not so much connected with them, the first thing, because what you're doing currently is you are achieving so many different things on a daily basis, and you are actually in a constant loop of ignorance. You are not looking at what your family members they are concerned about you, they want something. So they never think about they never have bad intentions though. They might suggest you a wrong solution, but they never have a bad intention. They will have their best intentions when they are suggesting something. So I will definitely say that it took a toll on my personal life a lot, because most of the times when I look back, I missed a lot of people with whom I was very close. I have missed a lot of friendship. I have missed all the fun in the college. So all the fun, you talk about festivals, you talk about anything which is like fun event. So I have missed all of them because of what I was doing. I was constantly in a different segment, in a different loop, and I had a different mindset altogether. So here in the family, they are kind of supportive, you can say, but at the same time, they are very concerned about you. They are concerned about your health. They are concerned what are you going to do in your life. So for me, my home, my family, they never knew what I do. So they knew the half truth most of the times, that okay, Ali receives a lot of goodies, so from Google, from Microsoft. So what I would do is I would distribute some of them to my family members itself, and give them a funky
Ah,
diary, give them a funky pen, and then they will be happy. They'll be like, oh, this is good, right? And that is the small happiness which you can give them, because you're not earning anything, you are doing community work, and at the same time you are so much dedicated to your work that you're not able to give time as well. Okay. And you are taking a toll on your health, so that's not so good relationship. Okay. But later the time I have learned to manage things together, and I can say proudly that nowadays it is much better, and I thank lockdown for that, because it has given me an altogether different bond. Earlier it was not a single day, it was like I have stayed 24 hours at home. So it has always been like I have been traveling to different places, even if there was nothing. So I was traveling at offices and doing my work there. But work from home had taught me so many different things, and it has really bonded truly well with the family members. So yeah, I can thank lockdown for it and COVID-19 for it. But yeah, yeah, it takes a lot of toll. It takes a lot of mental health when you introspect, because you are doing something at your own level. You're trying to push your limits there, but at the same time there is someone who is concerned about you pushing your limits to an extreme end. So there has been times when I have been on bed for straight 1 month, straight
Oh
12 days,
gosh.
straight 6 days, and I have been in a very bad health, on the verge of collapsing, on the verge of different diseases, low immunity, and so many different things, because I was really pushing myself so hard at times, waking up, only sleeping 3 hours, 4 hours, waking up for 18 hours. That's how you kind of do this kind of thing. Else, it's not quite possible when you are working your normal hours. And I got most of the inspiration from Elon Musk when he was saying that, he was, the website was up in the day and he was coding all night and he was working, you know 24/7, all the weeks in the month, all the days in the week. And that's crazy, right? But it was his mission, it was his passion, and that was driving him, and that's what it's driving me. But it takes a toll on something. So yeah, you cannot deny that it doesn't take a toll on your family members, on your personal relationship, on your mental health. So yeah, that's a negative for it, but you learn over time and you learn to manage things. And once you learn it, then obviously there is no end to it. So everything is balanced now. So yeah.
Oh, well, that's definitely there. Um, it's true that sometimes along this journey, we do end up losing a lot of people. But I think at the same time, there's another group that does develop, which you won't always expect, and that is a group which does not necessarily approve of your activities as well.
Yeah, yeah. So we call them critic group or criticism.
Yeah.
So some
And it's
people,
not necessarily
so
very positive or constructive at times.
yeah,
So,
yeah, truly, truly, yeah. So many times there might be people. So let's say you're leading a community, you are doing everything possible in your domain, but then there comes this guy who is constantly tapping on your success, and he's like constantly questioning your authority, questioning you where you stand, and so many different things. So at times people always tell you that criticism drives you, but
mhm,
most of the times it just takes a toll on you. Okay, because we never learn how to handle criticism. So we always just ignore it, and just ignore it. Ignoring is not the key here. Okay, if you just keep ignoring it, what you will learn in life is that you ignore your hardships and you just don't look at them. So that's not how it works in real life.
mhm.
So what I usually do is I listen to them. Okay, and because all your followers always tell positive things, right? They are like, Ali, you are so inspiring. Ali, you're
Yeah.
so good. Ali, you're doing so many things. I want a selfie. And then there is this guy who's like, Ali, you are the worst in this. Okay, you don't know public speaking. You don't know how to stand on stage. You don't know how to wear clothes. Okay, so there have been people who tell me that you should not wear this on stage. You should not dress like this. You should not upload stories like this on Instagram, and so many different aspects. So what I do is I hear them out. Okay, I get to tell, and then I try to see if it's really the case with me. Am I that bad, or am I doing something really wrong? And if that is the case, I will thank him probably, and I will try to improve on that aspect. But if it's just unnecessary criticism, it's just like hatred. So what you can do is you can share your resources with him. You can talk one to one with him, or send him a positive vibe. And I have seen a lot of haters of me converting into pure followers, and pure admirers of me. So that has been the case many of the times when you actually talk with them. So what you do is you actually earn more audience, and yeah, that is really the positive side of it. And what you really one thing which really drives you is that unseen audience. Okay, So you always have an audience which is supporting you, but you never know. Okay, you always have some people who are defending you when you are not there, defending you at your back, defending you in even in front of you. So these people, you never come across them, but because obviously you are not so much interactive on social media, and you cannot talk to everyone individually for hours. But there are set of people who will definitely step up when there is a criticism happening about you, and I have observed it personally. There have been instances where I was in front of them and I was doing something else, and there was some guys talking bad about myself, and suddenly some juniors out of nowhere, I don't even know them, they came in and they interviewed them, and they were like, hey man, you're talking, not so good things, and this is the reality, and this is what he does. And if you really want to learn what Ali does, definitely attend one of his sessions. So I was really
Wow.
shocked to see someone who is your whom you have never met but defending for you and advocating for you in public. So that is really something which helps. So yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely there. I mean, there's this line that I've heard. Your biggest hater will always be someone you know, and your biggest fan will always be a stranger.
Yeah, true, true.
That's definitely
Really true.
there.
Yeah. So I also remember one instance when I was traveling back from my college, and so there were actually two instances. One when I was traveling back from college, there were a bunch of juniors and they came to me running. They were like, "Hey, are you Ali?" So I was like, "Yes, I am Ali." So I just took a pause and I was like, "Oh yes, I am Ali." Okay. And then they were like, "Okay, we attended your talk here, and we are really we really want a photo with you." And that was so good feeling that you don't really know them, but they really recognize you. And it is a bus filled of people, and then people are looking at you that, oh, is he really a YouTuber or a famous guy who people are coming and taking photos with. And similar instance happened in a public place when I was at a bandstand with some of my friends, and they were from different communities. One was from Intel, and he was from Aurangabad, one was from Nashik, one was from Pune, and they came to meet me in Mumbai, and we went to bandstand, and there a group of five people were following us from 10 minutes, and I was literally scared
Wow.
because a group was following you, and specifically you for 10 minutes. So and then I really
Gosh.
stopped and I looked them in the eye, and then they came, and then one girl comes and she's like, "Are you Ali?" So I was like, "Oh yes." And then she's like, "Okay, we attended your session at our college and we really saw you, and we are conducting a technical festival. Would you be able to come there?"
Okay,
So I was
gosh.
like, "Man, you can contact me at my email ID. I am available. I really respond to every request on social media. I really reply to every message,
Oh
okay, out there."
gosh.
And so that is again, so that really sent a positive message to all my colleagues who were there with me. But again, it was a time when I was like, they were thinking that it was all planned and everything, but deep down, that okay, this is really what you have been doing till now, and this is really a result of that. So yeah.
It's also a freaky experience, to be honest.
Yeah, many times. So I also remember when I was in Solapur, I won't name the college. I was delivering a session there on behalf of Google Crowdsource, and there were 140 people in the session, and we had to distribute some certificates as well. So I just gave the bundle to the ma'am and told her to distribute it. Um, the organizing team requested me to deliver it to each individual and click a photograph with them, and it went on for 1.5 hours.
Oh
And
god.
after that, so I assumed that after that I was free. But after that, every individual wanted to take a specific selfie, and every group also wanted to take a specific selfie. So uh,
Yeah.
I spent around 2.5 hours there taking selfies with different people, and you really are blessed. So I really was not annoyed at all. I was uh, I was so amazed that okay, people are really looking at you, people are really influenced by you. And I told them that, what are you going to do with these photos? Like, are you going to post it somewhere or something like that? They're like, no sir, we are just going to keep it with us. Okay. And they were like, we are not on any social media per se, but we will keep it for us. because
Wow.
in the near future,
Yeah.
if we do something, we remember our mentors, so that way we are going to keep your photo. So I was like, that's crazy, that's really inspiring. Okay, so yeah.
I think that's a huge, huge sign of respect, to be honest. And
Yeah.
more than anything, it's a huge credit to all the hard work over the years. Because one thing that people forget, I think, when someone looks at your TEDx and says, wow, I know this guy, and this is so great. But it really isn't one day that it happened. Rome wasn't built in a day. So it really is a
Yeah.
lot of time and hard work that's gone in behind that to be able to achieve that. So yeah,
True, true.
this is truly amazing. Now I heard a mention of Intel in there, and yes, this brings me to one very important part of your journey, and that's machine learning. Whether we take
Yeah.
TensorFlow or the underlying aspects of crowdsource, a lot of the
Yeah.
work that you've been working on the tech side is around machine learning. So how did you get into that?
Yeah, so machine learning was a fancy technology when I was in diploma. It still is a fancy technology, people believe. But when I was in diploma, the idea of machine learning was magic,
Yeah.
because that time, so I still remember my first interaction of artificial intelligence or robot was Chitti. You remember the movie
Yes,
Chitti?
I do. I do.
Yes, Rajnikant's famous movie, right?
Yeah.
Now, that movie really, really taught me thinking about Dr. Vasikaran and how he developed such an amazing robot, right? A robot which can, if used properly,
Sentient.
can
Yeah.
transform things, or if used negatively, can do wonders, right? So destroy the world, take over the world. So I was fascinated by that idea about
Mhm.
how things were, and there were so many different English movies as well, Transformers, and so many different movies which showed the idea beyond human capability, beyond something
Mhm.
which is something which is magic to everyone, right?
Yeah.
So that was the real idea behind that back in 2016 and 2017 when I was just starting with machine learning. And after that I was exploring Python. So I was a very good PHP developer, but then I started looking at memes. And back then, to look cool, okay, so not that Python is a bad language, but to just look cool, I had to adopt Python. So I was like, if I work with Python, I might look cool in the audience. So I skipped PHP, and then I switched to Python and learned Python. And after learning Python, I was like, what should I do more? And then I came across the cybersecurity and ethical hacking and so many different concepts. And that was also fascinating back then. But then I did few of them, and then I moved on from that within 3 months. And after that, I came across machine learning, and I was introduced to machine learning from a GDG talk. And it was a basic talk about how machines learn and something like that, but it was very fascinating. And then I started doing my own research. I started searching about machine learning. And the reason why I landed on crowdsource was because I was learning machine learning from different sources, and I came across a concept of how you can collect images from different people and train a machine learning model and then deploy it, and it will be pretty much useful. And that concept struck me to search more about crowdsource and came across the application of crowdsource. And when I understand the underlying infrastructure of crowdsource, I was really, really, like inspired, or you can say motivated to learn machine learning. And that's how I got introduced and I learned machine learning. And I would definitely credit Google a lot, Google as a company, because a lot of I learned machine learning from a lot of Googlers. Okay, a
Mhm.
lot of Googlers, in terms of Lawrence Moroni, in terms of Ajinkya Kole, in terms of Manoranjan Pandey, and so many great Googlers who have. So because I learned from them, I always had an upper hand uh, with the audience, obviously, because I was attending a lot of hands-on session. I was learning day in and day out, and
Mhm.
I was not really an expert back then, but because you don't have, so it is like you don't have the best mangoes yet, but you need to you need to have mangoes, so you just go with the rotten ones because they are there as of now. Okay, so that was the case when I started my journey, but soon I realized that I need to be an expert in the field. I need to be, so I don't call myself expert still. I am still learning, and I'm still, adhering to different concepts of machine learning and deep learning. But yeah, I was really above, most of the people, and I was doing the work which was admired by a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
So I started exploring different ways, and I was doing and taking sessions. But I
Yeah.
wanted a validation on top of that. I wanted to publish some research work, because most of the times when you're working with community, what happens is you are not able to do research single-handedly. Okay.
True.
And I really believe that research should not be just review papers. Okay. Research should be something which you are really invested into, which you
True.
are really doing, which you are, it's not just about learning a tutorial and writing that into a research paper. It's not about that. Okay. The idea of research, the first thing is Indians don't have an idea of research. Okay. We get introduced to research when we do masters and PhD. Okay. And even in engineering, there is no concept of research. People don't even talk about research there. Okay. So I really wanted to get into research. I wanted to explore the research domain in machine learning and artificial intelligence. And I was not getting a kickstart in that. Okay. And with all the things in hand, with all the community in hand, I was finding it really difficult. That laziness kicks in into you, that if someone is not demanding something, you don't do it. Simple. Okay. So because Praveen Das was demanding, so Praveen Das was a program manager. He was demanding, some task to be done. So I was doing it for crowdsource. Nawaz was demanding some task on a friendship level. So I was doing that. But, I was not demanding myself to do something in terms of research. So that was pending. So I was navigating one time and I came across the program of Intel Software Innovator and Intel Student Ambassador. So these two programs I came across on Intel website, and I read all of the concepts, and it was really a good program for research students because it really prompted people to do research. And I was like, if I enroll into that program, they are going to be on my head. Else they will remove me from the program, and it will be an insult to myself that I am into a program and they removed me from the program. So I was like, I will continue doing that. I will continue to work on the projects, else I will be removed. So I applied for that program. Now, it definitely happens that when you are at a position, there is some ego level in you, and you are at the level that you are like, okay, and now I'm good. I know everything, and I can become anything, right? And that was the level also kicking into my mindset. I won't lie, I will tell you on the face that that was a mindset which was kicking back then in. And I just applied for Intel Student Ambassador, thinking nothing. And the interview came in, and the interviewer was very strict, and he asked me questions, a top, bottom, center. Okay.
Wow.
Left, right, and center, you can say. And he asked me concepts, like really deep concepts, and I was not knowing them. And that was a hitback, a setback. And I really was so annoyed by myself that I didn't knew these concepts. And I was talking about machine learning all back then. Okay. And then I was like, okay, let's re-prepare it and let's reapply for the application. And there has to be a 3 months gap in the application. So I got back, I worked on my application three months, and then I reapplied. But this time, what happened was it was my final examination the next day, and I had an interview prior to my final examination. I wanted to become Intel Software Innovator
Mm-hmm.
so bad, Intel Software Student Ambassador so bad that I skipped my exam and I was like, I'm going to
Damn.
focus on the interview.
Skipped it. Oh.
And the interview went really well because I was focused. I answered really all the questions, and the interviewer was already a friend of mine. So he was
Ah.
one of the guy who was my mentor, and he already knew about my contributions. So he was like, Ali, you already know stuff, right? But he did ask me some crazy questions, and I was able to answer them. And but then too, my application was rejected. So I was pissed again because this time I was really pissed because this time everything went well. I gave the interview, I got cleared by the interviewer, but I was still rejected.
Damn.
And then after some time, I mailed to the program manager of Intel. I was like, "What's happening, man? I really want to pursue this program." So he was like, "You are already in final year, Ali. So we cannot enroll you into student ambassador program. But what we can do is we can allow you to be part of Intel Software Innovator program, and that program is specifically for developers. But being a student, we will definitely give you an exception, and you can join it right away." So I was in my dropout year that time because I already skipped that exam. So that was a golden exam. And I was already in a dropout zone. So I had 1 year. So I accepted that opportunity and I became an Intel software innovator. And then I learned a lot of good things about deep learning. And specifically, I learned about optimization techniques, which we can leverage using Intel hardware. So, and I'm also working on really good projects, and I'm going to real soon publish some real good research papers,
That's
which are going
fantastic.
to be very good for day-to-day life. So, yeah,
That's fantastic to hear. Can't wait for those. You know,
yeah,
when we talk about research and machine learning and this entire domain, another big organization that really comes to my mind would be IEEE, which again is something that you worked a lot with.
yeah. So, IEEE, the relationship at IEEE was sour, a bit of sour in the starting, but it turned into a happy relationship, you can say. Because in the starting, I was actually invited by a lot of IEEE conferences as a conference speaker and a conference trainer, and I participated in a lot of them as a speaker. But I was never with a mindset to buy the membership because it costed $2,000. Okay, and I was always as a student mindset. I was with the mindset that in 2,000 rupees I can get four Mac Maharajas. I can get five Starbucks coffee,
Damn.
and I can put Instagram stories, kind of, that kind of flexing trends comes to your mind. And I was like, if I buy an IEEE membership, I'm not going to put on a social media that I am an IEEE member or something. So I was like, why to invest $2,000 when you can leverage the benefits of IEEE? Because you're already invited to IEEE conferences as a speaker, so you don't really need the membership. But then I met amazing people in IEEE like Dr. Hussain Madhi sir, Prashant Mohan, Mega, Saurabh Soni, and these guys really motivated me and they showed me the real benefit of the IEEE membership. And then I took the membership, I paid the amount, keeping stone on my heart that will this be beneficial or not. And believe me, within 1 month, I was part of IEEE Collaborative Ambassador Program, which are only around a bunch of 50 students across the globe. And then I was within 6 months, I was promoted to IEEE Collaborative Advisory Member, which are around 18 to 20 members across the world who are contributing to improving the platform for everybody who are using, like, it is used by more than 5 lakh people on a daily basis. And after that I founded my own student branch, convinced my college leadership to buy memberships for our students because it was a new thing. And our college invested more than a lakh rupees on college students for buying the
Wow.
membership and starting the student branch. And I definitely thank my college for supporting me all the way around. And that's how we started the IEEE student branch, and started from 12 members to a 50-member strong team as of now, and
That's
three
fantastic.
more affinity groups and student chapters. And now I'm more connected to the IEEE world. And when I talk about I build human networks, I'm not seeing that in air because I have the back end of IEEE network, which is across the globe. So when I was about to visit Singapore for the MSP summit, I already had people in Singapore welcoming me.
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
And that was because of the network of IEEE, because they already knew me from the IEEE network. And they were so eager to meet me that they were like, okay, we will come to pick you at the airport. Okay.
Wow.
And that was only quite possible because of the network of IEEE. Okay. So I definitely credit a lot of things to IEEE network. And yeah, so that is the journey with IEEE.
That is so motivating, to be honest, because I think a lot of times, due to our academic pressures and whatnot, we actually forget that there is so much outside our classes as well that can actually benefit us in our careers as well. And if we look at it, take crowdsource or TensorFlow, Student Partner, IEEE, Intel, any of them, they've all been fantastic communities, to be honest. And there's so much that we've all taken back from them. So, in all of your experience, what has the essence of these communities been for you?
Yeah, I would say that so most of the times what students do is they usually are not aware of the opportunity on the first hand, and the second hand, even if they are aware of the opportunities, they don't have that kind of guidance which can enable them to lead in their campuses or be the part of the core committee or something like that. So most of the people are in a comfort zone. They are like, we will study for 4 years, we will land a job of 3 lakhs per annum, and yeah, that's all. A happy simple life. But most of them, what happens to them is, after they have been through the journey for few times, after they graduate, they don't really get a job and they become unemployed. And at that time they realize that they really didn't learn anything in the engineering days. And that's why I usually say that engineering is experimentation. Okay, we are
Mm-hmm.
engineers. You as an engineer should do experimentation while you're doing engineering, because when I look at the syllabus, it's really not something which will take you a lot of days to pass. Okay, I have passed the hardest subject in 3 to 4 days time by referring to last year papers, and the jugaad, the Indian typical jugaad which we do, right?
Yeah.
So opening random pages of the book and saying that this question will come tomorrow in the exam, and then learning that question. So random jugaads which you do, or you apply that logic of thinking that acha last year aaya tha, ye saal aaya tha, next year it won't be coming in the examination or something like that. So engineering is not that difficult as people hype it to. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
what why so you can actually participate in different communities and be exception. But what really has happened in the late time is that what people really do is they give everything to the community. So they would be in a segment where they give everything they have to the community. They work day and night for it, and suddenly they once the community is closed, they have no existence. They are totally non-existent. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
or once they leave the community, they directly join a company and then they are non-existent. Okay, so this is because they don't realize that communities is not about just building others. Okay, it is one part of it. It's one part of becoming a family. The other part is about yourself, about what you take away, how you develop your personality, how are you going to reflect yourself apart from that company tag which comes with it, right? So tomorrow, if I am to be recognized out of that Google tag, uh, do I have a name for myself? Do will people recognize me if I am saying that, hey, I am Ali, and I'm not recognized with a brand? Okay, will people still be influenced by that Ali? Okay, so you really need to introspect at every given point, even if you're working for a community. Because what I have seen lately is that on LinkedIn, what people do is they are part of student ambassador program for IIT Bombay. They are part of student ambassador program for IIT Kharagpur. They are part of student ambassador program for 100 different colleges. And at the end of
Yeah.
the day, what their profile is really student ambassadors. Okay, and they have never leveled up to any other level. Okay, they have always been student ambassador and they are just moving ahead with student ambassadorships. Okay, I'm not telling that it is bad. Okay, but at a point you need to take a step back. You need to realize what you're doing in life. You need to look at the opportunities. So I always say that take any opportunity you get, but I don't really have that mindset that take any opportunity. Okay, because if you do that, that is going to really affect your mental health, and at the same time it is really going to affect your prospective career in the near future. Okay, definitely. So I have experienced that, and I'm telling you from the experience, being the part of 3 different communities at scale. Okay, so work on developing yourself and the community. Okay, I'm not telling you that only be selfish and work on yourself, but work on yourself, work on the community, and always have yourself as the first person. When you talk about respect, when you talk about leadership, look yourself as a leader. You look yourself as a motivation, and then and only then you will be able to influence others, or you will be able to impact others. If you are not moving ladder up, so I always say this in my talks. I've also mentioned in my TEDx talk that change is something which is which should not be constant. Okay, change should happen every day. Okay, and you should not celebrate your birthdays, you should celebrate change. Because even if you have a positive change, you have a negative change, what it gives you is it gives you a hope, it gives you an inclusiveness that okay, even if I failed, I am able to move ahead. Even if I landed a good opportunity, I am celebrating it already. Okay. But birthdays don't really so it's regardless. Even if you don't do anything for the year, you are going to grow 1 year older, right or wrong?
Yeah.
Right. But that doesn't really happen in your professional career. Okay. If you don't do anything, you are not going to move forward. Okay. So do hunt for opportunities, do look for opportunities, but don't be so blind that you're, anytime going for that programs. And, whenever I land an opportunity, I always ask the program manager that what will be, how independent will I be? What is my personal benefit? How I, as an individual, will get benefit apart from your company, your brand? So that's really the question which you should ask before joining a community. Obviously, when you're doing a job, that's a different thing. Okay, but when I'm talking about community, be very specific about it. Okay, so yeah.
Fair enough. That's definitely there. Um, you know, um, it's really amazing how all through you've always, given so much respect to those who you feel have mentored you. You've given so much respect to those who you believe you have mentored. Take, Anchal, Shubham, all of these folks you've mentioned, and it's amazing. So, working on building other leaders to say, because if we take all of your mentees,
Yep.
as they're all themselves doing extremely well in their own place. So, what is your strategy and formula on working on building other leaders? How does this come up? How do you
So
define a leader? Actually,
yeah.
let's go with that first. How do you define a leader, and then let's work on
Okay.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess I saw a video online about leadership. So this guy explained it in a very simple example that you are a leader if you are sitting on a dining table, and even if two people listen to you on your choice of food. Okay. So you are like, okay, today we are going to eat biryani, and two people agreeing that okay, we are going to eat biryani because Ali told we are going to eat biryani. And that is real, leadership on the table. Okay. Where you are able to influence people and say them that hey man, prefer this choice of food. So even if you are able to develop one person, you can call yourself a leader. Okay. People might not say that you are a leader. People might not, they have their own definitions. They might name you, they might shame you, but you in yourself are a leader. Okay. So even if you influence one person. So my idea of leadership, or my back mind of leadership, was when I started going to different sessions and I was conducting sessions, you know 2 sessions a day. I was traveling, hundreds of kilometers to conduct sessions across different cities. And I realized that there is so much of need. There is so much of people need so much of, people need so much of mentoring. People need so much of nurture, and people
Mm-hmm.
need so much of kind of guidance. And I, as an Ali, like, where can I go? Like, how much far I can deliver? Like, how much more can I impact? Like, because I, as an individual, can do so little. Like, I cannot, I can be present at one place at one time. Travel restrictions, I cannot spend a lot of money to travel different parts. At the same time, I need to check my health, I need to do a lot of different things. So there was an idea in the back of my mind that we have 1.3 billion people in India. Okay. And that's a massive population. We are the second populous country in the world. So reaching with one person to 1.3 billion people is going to be extremely difficult and very impractical approach. Okay. So I always had an idea that I need to create more and more readers, because the idea behind it was that we don't need followers now. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because if there is one leader and there are plenty of followers to that reader, then he might mislead that people. He might benefit for his own deeds, and so many different, things come in. He should be very responsible person. And I was not thinking myself at that position. So what I thought was, why not create more leaders? So I started taking people with me to different sessions. So if let's say I had a session in NIT Raipur, so I was taking two people with me to train them and to teach them how things work in NIT Raipur, and how I go there and I teach people and I conduct sessions and I impact people, and how I deliver sessions on stage, how I make my content, and I tailor them. Okay. So after 3 4 sessions, these two will be ready. They will be able to go on an individual sessions, and they will be able to conduct individual sessions, lead individual teams in their college, and
Yeah.
they further will train people who will be able to go ahead and make more leaders. So the idea was never to make a follower. The idea was always to make plenty of more leaders and more leaders, so that they keep multiplying. And at the end of the day, obviously, they are going to remember me, because they will be like, okay, Ali was the mentor, and so they are going to remember me. Even if they don't, that is fine with me, because I'm already doing good in my own career, in my own professional thing. Okay. And when I move ahead and I see the whole concept. So I if you see all of my mentees, they are as you shared earlier, they are really doing good in their life. They are really a leader in their own segment, okay, in what they do. And they are also nurturing a lot of more leaders. Okay. So that's what I say. I have like, that's my vision down the line, across across after 20 years. I want to see a lot of different leaders in different cities who are leading their own community, and no single engineer who has been graduated is unemployed. So that's the complete vision of it, and I believe this approach can really solve it by making more leaders and not followers. So yeah.
Fair enough. That's very true. Um, when we look at it as from an if we take an overview, looking at your personal drive, your commitment to your mentees, to your teams, to all of your work, taking decisions on your own, risky decisions, like suppose for example, actually skipping an exam for the Intel student ambassador interview. I really do sense a kind of an entrepreneurial spirit. So is that something in the works, or maybe a plan for the future, something like that?
Yeah, so the entrepreneur in me has been there forever. So like, it goes back to the school days, but I will share an interesting example in the diploma days. So what happened was, everyone required notes, right? So we had a lot of notes, and in diploma specifically, you had to write a lot of assignments, and all the books changed after 6 months. Okay. So our teachers used to give us their handwritten notes, but obviously we need to put a Xerox to that and distribute it across the classroom. So the standard rate of Xerox was 1 rupees, and I found out, I collaborated with the Xerox shop, and he told me that he will deliver me a Xerox on 40 paisa. So that was 60 paisa in saving. And if there are 50 people in the classroom, so I was and one book is around 300 pages to 400 pages. So I was saving like around so when once per book I was saving around 2 to 3,000 rupees, and my only work was to carry that book and bring it for everyone. And really, always we always had an idea that if we start a Xerox machine shop outside the college, we might earn more than an engineer, right? We always
Damn.
had that idea back of our
Yeah.
mind every time. And I also had that idea, but it took a bit of a turn, and I actually outsourced that idea to another Xerox machine center, which was doing it for less amount than the one who was outside the college. And I literally convinced everyone, and I started distributing that Xerox to people. And that was the start of the entrepreneur journey, because I was making some side money, and I was hustling, and I was doing some hard work, and I was using that money for doing some courses. And we didn't have free courses back then. Okay. We had very limited free courses. Like, if you see today, if you talk about Udacity, Coursera, Progate, they are providing so much free resources on a daily basis. Like, it was not there back then. Okay. And you really had to buy courses. So I collected money and bought that courses, and I did that courses. And so another journey was when I was traveling to different cities. I have till date traveled to more than 42 cities in total. Okay. And I have talked across so many different students, and what I realized was college is not doing enough. uh, they are always following the herd strategy. So
Yeah.
they are always with the thing that everyone will figure out. Okay, they will figure out. You don't need to guide them; they will figure out. So they are following that herd strategy still, that everyone will be able to figure out. But I would definitely say that our generation is not so smart to figure out things. Okay, and they do need hand holding, because we have, developed our education system in such a way that we have made them dependent on us, on the teachers, on the mentors, that they need hand holding. Okay, so they need hand holding. They are already there. The whole generation is like that. Okay, the whole engineering segment is like that. um, so because I was going around different colleges, and I realized that, okay, they need hand holding. They don't have enough resources from the colleges. They are not willing to learn online. Yes, that's a truth. So most of the people, when I visited the sessions, most of the people were reluctant to online learning. They were like, we are not, we don't finish the course which we start. We don't want to do online learning. We want someone in front of us, so that if the session goes good, we will appreciate him. If the session goes back, we will stand up on his head for a refund. So so I knew that, okay, this is also kind of a scenario where they want offline learning. And the COVID thing has really changed this. But before that, it was really people wanted to go offline, and they wanted to learn with trainers. And I realized all these three aspects, and I started a course called as Machine Learning Fast Track.
Yeah.
And that was 800 rupees buck course for 3 days and 2 days and 1 week format. And we really didn't charge them for a money basis, because we invested that much amount of money in traveling and in different initiatives which I was already doing. So it was never a money centric thing. So I just wanted to try out a business. I wanted to see if it works, if it doesn't work. And it really took off. So we conducted one session, we conducted two sessions. The feedback was really awesome, and we really improved our MLFT. And it's definitely available for free on my GitHub for people who are, that skilled, that they can Google, can do that course by themselves free of cost. But this was specifically designed for people who need hand holding, who need teaching, who need guidance. And that's how we designed a low cost course, seeing an opportunity in the market. And I really feel that there is a lot of market for education sector
Very
in
true.
India specifically. And with my experience across different cities and different states and different universities, I still feel there is a lot which needs to be done, and there are very less players in this segment. And even if there are players, they are not doing enough to fulfill this gap, and they are still lagging a lot. And we can do a lot more and improve this, conceive this as a business opportunity. Though I always want education to be free, I want these initiatives to be free. But when I looked at as a business perspective, it doesn't really work out. So as a near future, what I would definitely look at is if I might join a company which is working on my aim, which is giving me a free hand in doing and conducting these initiatives, or else start my own company which will do these things and enable millions and billions of people to learn and to do, to be on the right path. So yeah.
That's a great plan. There's so much to discuss here, but we also have to stick to our time constraints.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, I think I have a couple of other questions, and then we can move to the audience as well. So
sure.
there's so much that you're already doing and you already have done, but I really have to ask. You're about to graduate from college as well, and that would mean graduating from the student partner program as well. So really, what's next for you after this?
So I'm a very experimental kind of a person. Like I have told you already as well, right?
Yeah.
So skipping exams, going on stage impromptu without slides, doing. I have done so many crazy things on the spot. Very experimental in nature. So I'm still experimenting few ideas. I'm still experimenting. Few concepts which I feel might take off, and I'm still working on that. But I'm still as a family pressure, I really had to support them. And I am ready to take risk, but at the same time I'm still having a lot of concerns. And when you are doing more, your family expects more from you. So in that case, I'm still looking at if there are some companies which could work with the same vision which I do, because I left the crowdsource community because I felt that the vision was not taken care of. Okay, and that's why I moved on, and I started doing different things. But if there is a company, I might definitely join it, or I might contribute to MSP program as mentors, and might definitely help a lot of students to get into this program, because this has really helped me to do so many different things, and helped me really, start, have that feeling of restarting everything, and becoming, getting an altogether different experience. So I might definitely move forward, thinking and doing maybe an entrepreneur journey, or might be, cracking some interviews, and might be working for some companies. Yeah, so that's kind of what future holds.
That's a great plan. And any last words of advice in your mind, particularly that you would really love to share with our audience members, including me,
Yeah.
because yeah, I mean your experience is just unbelievable, and it's something that we really aspire to reach as well.
Thank you so much for that, Aditya. I really appreciate it. So my experience, or my word of advice to everyone is that, follow three things in life and everything will be on place. The first thing is your determination about what you want to do. Okay. So either you want to study hard. If you want to study hard, crack IIT, go into IITs, go into big institutes, go into MIT, do great work, become a data scientist, become a research scientist, and publish your work on hefty amount of money. Okay, that is fine as well, but do it with determination. Okay, uh, like when I started working on crowdsource community, it was a very small community, but we were dedicated on our goal, we were dedicated on our cause, we were dedicated on our vision, on the vision which we shared with Google, that okay, this is what we want to achieve at the end of the day. And that really helped me, work effectively with crowdsource community. And when I was in with MSP community, Microsoft community, the mission of Microsoft was to empower each and every individual on earth and organization with technology. Okay, and that was really, a mission or a vision which I shared, which I always had in my back mind, that okay, I also want to empower every student on earth to do better in their engineering careers, and to do better than what they were doing already. So determination is something which you should always be, you should be determined to do. If you are determined to do change, even if there are odds in front of you, you will be able to, go through that odds. I failed in an exam. I had a drop for 1 year, but I was determined. I was determined to work with communities. I was determined to, scale it up. I was determined to do more there. So I continued my studies as well, and I, continued the community development as well. Second thing which you need to do is you really need to, look forward for yourself. Okay. Uh, Regardless of which community you're working for, so this might be an advice for you, Aditya, as well.
Yeah.
Regardless of which community you're working for, which company that community is sponsoring for, what is your self development? How much are you developing yourself? How much on a daily basis are you self branding yourself? Are you visible, or are you just a PR of that company? Okay, because community doesn't means you promote the products of that company just because you are part of a community. Okay, yes,
True.
working on that tools, providing a feedback on that tools really helps, because you share the vision with the company, right? They want to impact, everyone, and you share the vision with that company. But at the end of the day, you really have to think about where you are heading, what you
Yeah.
are doing in life. You need to retrospect every single time whenever you join a new community. At what is your thought process? So when I left crowdsource, and when I joined MSP, it was from scratch. Anyone would tell me that you are crazy person, right? You are really, not in your senses, because I was, I left a leadership position, a global influencer position, to join a community as an attendee, as a normal student, right?
Yeah.
So there definitely has to be a thought process behind it, right? You cannot just take that decision right away. Okay, so my thought process was to learn something new, to have a different perspective of how people look me. Okay, as a follower, as a follower. Okay, how they perceive leaders as a followers. So I wanted to achieve that, and I was truly able to do that. Okay, and that is something which you need to keep a focus on. And the third thing is motivation or inspiration. So always make mentors, and keep your circle small, or keep your physical circle small and your virtual circle big. Okay, why I say that is because if you see my circle, physical circle, that's around, I can count them 5 people or 6 people. That's my physical circle. Okay. So these are the only people whom I hang out with. So that means I do less party. I do. They all are in a productive sense. So I have more productive. So we attend conferences together. We attend sessions together. We conduct sessions together, and we are always there for each other, and a small circle. Okay, and bigger circle online. So I do have a lot of followers, 3,000 people on Instagram. So when it's my birthday, people send a ton of wishes. Okay, when I share about my success, people share ton of congratulations. When I share about my failure, people send a lot of messages which are inspirational. Okay, so I do reply them, I do connect with them. So imagine, so but at the end of the day, I'm not consuming a lot of time. So the virtual circle should be bigger, and your physical circle should be smaller. Okay, it should be smaller in nature. So yeah, that's what I can suggest to everyone in the audience.
That's fantastic advice. All right, so that is about it from us. Now we really want to open the round to the audience to see, because I'm sure with this kind of an event, we will have a lot of perspectives of people, something maybe some surprises that come along with the session. So, yeah,
Yeah,
I think it's a big reality
definitely.
check at the end of the day for a lot of us.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, so it's more like about a perspective. Okay, so if you have watched Inception, there is a line in Inception. You know,
Yeah,
the idea, the idea once it originates, one it is
yeah,
the inception of an idea. It can bring wonders, or it can bring destruction. So the
definitely.
idea of her wife thinking that she is not in reality and she is in a virtual world led to her suicide. The movie itself talks so much about idea and concept. So it's time that we think, if we come up with different idea, we come up with different perspectives. And yeah, that's all about it. So if there are audience and they want to ask some questions, I'm open to it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, anyone, it'll be absolutely amazing.
Yeah, we have Ganesh here. So Ganesh, what's your question? Ganesh is also a very good friend of mine.
Oh, amazing
Met through
folks, from the
MSP.
Mumbai MSP community.
Yeah, really good.
Okay, so while we wait for them, there's one thing that I wanted to discuss. You go on
Sure.
stage so many times as a speaker, as a facilitator. Um, do you still experience stage fright?
Yeah, yeah, I still do. So whenever I am on the stage, okay, and I see 500 people roaring, and they are welcoming you, and soon you are like, okay, this isn't my first time, right? But again, it feels so much like a first time that you go on stage and you are like numb. You're like, okay, what should I talk? Okay, so if you have seen me, if you have seen my Instagram, what I usually do is I pull up my mobile phone. I carry a selfie stick in my pocket. I expand it, attach my phone, and I say hello everyone. So that's how I bring down my level of excitement to everyone else. And that's one of the tricks. And another trick is I always tell myself that I'm so much excited. So every time, whenever, so even if you watch any of my videos online, you might see that Ali is so much, you can say he is not able to speak clearly. Okay, he's on very low energy, but once I get the grip, okay, so it's usually opposite of me. I start the stage on a very low energy, and I end the stage on a very high energy. Okay, because in short, it is really, it's really every time I see an audience, because I was not born a public speaker. I learned it, and I learned it through different ways, and that has been really, really, it has been a lot of experimentation. So most of the times, I imagine that I don't have a slide today tomorrow. I'm not going to make a slide tomorrow. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to go on stage with the previous slides, and I'm going to, cover that. So there are some forms of experimentation which I perform, so that I am more prominent on stage. I'm able to deliver the session prominently. So yeah, stage fear is something which you can, which you I don't think so you can ever get rid of, because it's always there. Some part of it is there in you when you go on the stage and you start the session, but it eradicates soon after, because once you have the stage with you, you have the audience with you. That is gone. So yeah, it can only improve with practice. So if you have a stage fear, what I told you about the program where I take students with me for sessions, right? So what I do is I put them on the stage. So they're sitting in the audience, they are hearing me, and their job is to just hear me, okay? And I'm suddenly like, oh, Charandeep, can you please come on the stage and share the stage with me? And
Ah.
he's in the dilemma that, okay, he was an attentive back there, right? And he never expected to be on the stage, and even he never expected I would call him on the stage. But now he has to come on the stage and he have to speak few lines, and he's so terrified, and then he comes, and then that you ease them you ease him up, that okay, just cool yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and just tell about your experience, okay? And you
Yeah.
just have one-on-one conversation with them on the stage, and then that removes their fear, and next time they don't have that amount of fear which they previously had. So that's one way which I usually use for my mentees to eradicate their fear in front of stage.
Oh, that's an interesting way. We have one question from Ganesh here, and that is, how do you keep yourself motivated?
Yeah, so I answered this
Yeah,
already
this
in
is
my talk,
discussed.
but yeah, I'll just share that insight. Motivation is a cycle; it is a constant cycle. So Ganesh, keep motivating yourself. Okay. Any more questions we have?
Hi Ali.
Oh,
Hello,
hi
hello,
Kanch.
Ikansh.
Okay, so I think we don't have queries right now, but that's perfectly all right. We can share your socials in the comments and in the description as well. So if anyone has any queries, they can always reach out to you via Twitter or LinkedIn or Instagram for that matter.
Definitely. Yeah, yeah. I will be more than happy to help them out if they have queries. So yeah,
Okay, well then it was an absolutely fantastic experience having you, Ali. I mean, this was such a thought-provoking session, and in itself, it was very insightful into our world of communities, and just we're really grateful to have had that small little part to be able to get to know you through this 1.5 hour session. Although I know there's so much more to you than just this session, but we're really grateful for this as well. So thank you so
yeah.
much.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I will thank you because you invited me, obviously, and invited me to a platform where I could share my journey, and I could maybe inspire a few people who might be looking forward in their career or in their life. And it has been an absolutely pleasure to be hosted by you guys as a team. So thank you so much for inviting me for the session. And like MSP Unfiltered, you are doing great work, providing stories, all the way to everyone, and probably inspiring, thousands of people out there. So yeah, great work, guys.
I don't know about thousands, but maybe even if it's a few, I think that'll really be the best possible thing. So yeah,
Yeah,
um,
we always extend it by 10x, so no need to worry. Definitely, you will get that many views after watching so many videos of so many amazing inspiration, to the MSP community.
mhm.
So I really feel it is going to be, people realize good things, later. so they don't realize good things in the start. So once they
Hmm.
watch one to video, probably you will have your audience. Yes.
I hope so, definitely. All right,
Okay.
then. So it's been a great time. A big thank you to all of our audience members who were there with us through this entire 1.5 hour session. We really hope it was helpful to you. Please do let us know of any feedbacks, in the comment section or even now in the live chat. And yes, we hope to keep seeing you again and again in the future sessions. Good night, everyone.